And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the grand finals of the PiGosaur Cup, the PiGosaur Cup number 39, your weekly dose of pig action. Here we go. We're jumping into our grand finals here. This is the final series of the broadcast. We're here to determine our champion. Who will take it? Will it be a Terran? Will it be a Protoss? We're here to find out. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of torches, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the Red Terran representing Shopify. It is ByuN. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the American Protoss player, the Blue Protoss. It is Astrea. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as we get into our TvP. And coming into this, I'll be honest, I kind of lean towards Astrea here. Astrea, his strongest matchup is PBT. Like, this is where he thrives. This is where he's at his best. Of course, he took down Gumiho to make it this far, and he's already beaten Gumiho, ByuN, Ryung, who else comes to mind? Clem, of course, Clem as well. Astrea has been looking like a beast as of late, but as I mentioned previously, Astrea, he thrives in the mid game and the mid to late game. That's where he does thrive, but this is why I do feel like he does quite well against ByuN. We've spoken about this before as well. ByuN, he's the most macro of all the Korean Terrans. If you compare ByuN to Kyor, to Bunny, to Gumiho, to Maru as well, all the others are a lot more willing to go for 2 base all-ins. ByuN, he's the one out of all of them that's more willing to get a third CC, to get a third base and to play out a longer macro game instead, which I feel like kind of leans towards Astrea's strengths, but we'll see. We'll see how this series plays out, especially because game 1 is on torches. Already a crazy map to begin with. This map is known for aggression. This map is known for all-ins. Some of the features, of course, we have our natural base, we have our potential third if you expand forward here, if you mine through these middle patches. We have the goal base as well. We have seen plenty of instances where Terran players, they take the triangular third, they push forward, they take the fourth base as the gold, and then they snowball out of control with that goal base pushing into the Protoss. Likewise, there are goal bases on the left-hand side, and there are healing pads as well. So there are definitely a lot of ways to be aggressive on this map. On top of that, short rush distance by air. Now, because of the short rush distance by air, we've seen a lot of Protoss players open Stargate. We've also seen a lot of Terran players open Banshee as well. So we'll see how our players make use of the map. We'll see how our players do approach this. So far, we do have ByuN going for his 1-1-1. CC is on the way, so it was a double gas opener. Double gas racks into factory, into faster starport, into faster potential drop play, or add-on swap into Banshee. As we mentioned, Banshee play is quite common, quite popular on torches. Reavers, they bust in, they bypass the sentry, they go for the mineral line, as so far probes are being denied, or mining times are being denied. And he does get one! Yeah, one probe goes down. Gets one so far, doesn't get a scout of the tech, and we'll get a second probe. Oh, just barely towards the end. 2 probes to 2 Reapers. Hellion busts in. Oh, can he get one more? Not quite. Yeah, not quite here. But does get 2 workers. Our scout does confirm that Blink is on the way. Meanwhile, behind this, no add-on swap, going to be opening up Cyclone. No Tech Lab, going for the drop play first. Now, this can be a initial Cyclone drop, then into an add-on swap into Banshee. We'll keep an eye on ByuN to see where the Tech Labs are going to be placed and what is done with the starport. For now, early drop. And of course, Astrea, he sees, right? He sees everything he needs to. I say that it is not uncommon to go for the Tech Lab and go Widowmine instead of Cyclone as a bit of a fake out, but Hallucination confirms. Yeah, he confirms the Cyclone, he gets eyes on everything. Here we go. Does confirm. There we go, there's the add-on swap, that's what we're waiting for, and he confirms the add-on swap as well. Now, whether this is Banshee or Raven, there it is, Raven, not Banshee. And this is something that Astrea is not aware of. He saw the tech, he saw the production, but it could be one or the other. Meanwhile, the drop has arrived, we have the Cyclone towards left, we have the drop into the natural. Probes are exposed, he gets one. Oh, not quite. He's going to be deflected, Astrea holds. Astrea, he's holding, does deflect. So far, sole defense here from Astrea. And behind this, tanks are amassing. Ravens on the way. You have a safety bunker here out of ByuN, and we're still building up towards that mid game. We're getting there. Are still getting there. So we see ByuN pulling away. ByuN does pull away with the Raven, does keep it hidden for the time being. Meanwhile, Astrea gaining map control, claiming a third base, and going into a gateway heavy composition. From Blink into what? Into Charge, into Storm as well. Astrea settling in. Meanwhile, we do have to make a choice here from ByuN. ByuN, he does have a 3-1-1 setup. He does go for the Mass on Siege. Oh, he's pushing. Yeah, he is pushing. He's committing. Bearing in mind the stim is not even halfway done. He gets spotted by the Observer. Astrea, it's on him to engage ahead of time. So at least try to. Oh. Gets a couple of volleys on the medevac. Not bad. Medevac taking a lot of hits. Marines, they hold their own. At the same time, Cyclone harassing to the middle line. The 3 probe is going to be going down. Astrea, he's distracted. They're losing 5 probes. Brutal damage. And Stalkers, taking a lot of hits. Cyclone is cleaned up. That's still going to be 5 dead workers. Raven harassing to the main. Going for another auto turret. Going for more worker harass. And that's going to be 9 probes, 10 probes even. That is brutal damage. And even though ByuN, his main army, doesn't get across the map, he is successful when it comes to harassing. 10 probe kills. He doesn't have to push, doesn't have to move out. The damage has been done. May as well wait for all these upgrades. Stim is now done. Combat shields finishing up in 10 seconds, +1 as well. And there's that 3rd TC. If you remember something at the start of this series that we did mention is that ByuN, out of all the Korean Terrans, he's the one that's most willing to get into a longer game and not go for the all-in. You can see it here. ByuN takes a lead, and I feel like if we were casting Bunny or Cure, they would just pull the boys. They would just push and pull the boys. Here, ByuN expands. Dropping into the main, pushing through the center. Dragging or just pulling Astrea apart. Force a recall. GG gets called. He does get pulled apart, and ByuN takes game number 1. Whew, GG. A solid game here out of ByuN, able to just harass and pull Astrea apart. Again, it wasn't the main army that did the damage. It was more of a distraction. It was the Cyclone harass. It was the Raven harass as well. Those two together did do critical damage. Did critical damage here. Astrea, he was torn apart left and right. He couldn't quite keep up with the movement of ByuN. And this is where Torches comes into play. We spoke about it. Short rush distance by air as well. Short rush distance by ground. Aggression is favored here on Torches. GG. GG, well played. ByuN does take the first game, and we'll see where the rest of our games lead us here. Just checking the map order. Game 2, ley lines. Now, on some of these more standard maps and larger maps as well, I'm thinking ley lines, Tokamak, I'm thinking Maganatha as well. I'm going to be leaning a little bit more towards Astrea when it comes to his ability to defend and get into a longer game. Remember, I do favor Astrea over ByuN if he can get into that mid game in a solid position. 3-4 base setup, if he can get there. On these smaller maps, that's where I'm going to be favoring ByuN. Maps like Torches, maps like Pylon, maps like Persephone as well. But we'll see how we get there. We'll see how we do get there. For now, game 2 is on ley lines. This is one of the more standard maps in the map pool, and we'll see how our players will adjust here. So getting into game 2. Here we go. Question mark, he was still up in workers, I think. He was behind. Astrea was behind. Even though the recall was going to be stopping the drop, that is true. Pros are still going down, and the main army was pushing forward. Like, defending both locations at once there, he was going to be torn apart. It was, yeah, just a really rough position for Astrea. And now here we go, we're getting into our next game. Spawning in the bottom hand corner of ley lines, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion, leading the series 1-0. It is ByuN. And spawning in the top right hand corner of ley lines, what we have our American Protoss player. We have the Blue Protoss down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back. It is Astrea. But yes, it was the fact that ByuN was pushing in 2 locations at once. He was dropping in the main and pushing through the center towards the third. It's both coming together. But here we go. We're getting into game 2. And again, we'll see how our players will approach this. As I mentioned before, if Astrea can get into a proper 3-base economy, if he can survive the early game, if he can minimize losses, then he can thrive. That's going to be a big if here. I say that, if you remember, he did have a crazy game against Gumiho earlier, where Gumiho did kill 20 workers in the lead up to the mid game. It was insane damage, but Astrea was able to stabilize anyway. He was able to gain map control, able to recover, able to pin back his opponent, and bounce back in that game. It was an impressive game there by Astrea, and I do recommend the votes here between Astrea and Gumiho if you are curious to see how that game did play out. But we'll see how players adjust. For now, Gate Expand. Greedier build here by Astrea, going for the Gate Expand before the Cyber Core. Meanwhile, ByuN back at home going double gas. Once again, bearing in mind that ByuN did open up double gas last game as well. Last game, this led into an early Cyclone, into early drop play, into Raven Harass. This time, we'll see if it goes into something similar. This could lead into Widowmine drops, into Banshee play. If you recall, Banshee play was something that was still on the table, and still is as well. Likewise, we could see a commitment into more Cyclones, into early tank drop. ByuN has options. Does have options. For now, the Reaper is moving out across the map, and we'll see how ByuN defends back at home. Favorite America versus Korea has changed. I mean, once again, like Astrea, if you've been watching recently, he recently took down Gumiho, ByuN, and Ryung, and he forced Clem to the ace match. Like, specifically, I'm also mentioning Terran players. Like Astrea, his PvT has been crazy. I will say that Astrea's weakest matchup is PvZ. I don't favor Astrea against players like Solar, against Shin, against the other top Zerg players. I do think that's where Astrea struggles the most, at least currently. Of course, everyone is still working on their matchups and everyone's getting ready for EWC, of course. But everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. As ByuN does dive into the mineral line, does bust in, and gets one, getting up to 2 probe kills. Nice damage so far. Getting up to 3. 3 workers go down, getting a 4th probe towards the end. Very nice early game damage. Getting a 5th probe as well. And this is getting out of hand. And again, a really strong start for ByuN. And I do think that this is where you have to thrive. I mentioned earlier, like if Astrea can get up to 3 bases, if he can get up to 4 bases, like that's where he can pop off. But if, I mean, in the early game, that is where he can struggle. That's where you can try to catch him off guard. Here comes the add-on swap. So far, same build. Reaper Hellion, Cyclone into a Cyclone drop, into an add-on swap. Are we going Raven again? Are we going Banshee? There's that add-on swap. ByuN does move out. And show us what you got. Same build, Raven. Is going for the same build. This time catches out a Stalker. Very nice catch here by ByuN. Stalker does go down. You see Astrea racing back. Does race back to defend. And he's trying to catch out the drop. Does miss it. Rotating back over. Once again, going for the mineral line. Gets another probe. I believe that's 7 in total. 7 getting up to 8. Medevac goes down. ByuN does trade as best he can. Does focus out another probe. And another. Oh my god, getting a 4th probe towards the end. In total, 10 probe kills. Very nice damage. 10 probes. 10 workers go down. Astrea trying to stabilize here on 3 bases. At the same time, Raven is moving in. And again, all this damage, it builds up every time. It builds up every time here. Astrea, he moves out to contain his opponents, but the Raven's already moving in. It's going to come down to the reaction time here of Astrea. Raven pulls away. Astrea, he spots it. Just spot the Raven. Stalkers are ready. And Astrea has some catching up to do. I will say that ByuN, he's in a really nice position here. He's getting his own upgrades, of course. He does deal economic damage across the map. Building up his own bio tank. Astrea isn't out of this, but at this point he can't afford many more losses. And he tries to poke in. Behind this is working towards Colossus, working towards the Bay. Auto turret, oh, in towards the third. Does commit. He even does catch out a Stalker. Nice pickup. Stalker goes down. Denies mining time. No kills on the main. Still up in workers. I should emphasize this as well when it comes to the economy here and how the economy works in TvP, is that a Protoss player has to be ahead to be even with your opponent. They have to be up a base, they have to be up in workers, just because of how mules do function in TvP. And bearing in mind that losing 10 workers early on does force you to replenish those workers, does delay your tech. It means later tech, later production, later army. This is why ByuN has a 20 supply lead. Like, ByuN, he shouldn't be this far ahead in supply, but this is because of the economic damage early on. So it's important that, like, at times some numbers can be deceiving. Like, the supply disparity is because of the economic damage. And here we go, dodge drop into natural, 5 more probe kills, trades well against the Zealots. And from here, can pick up. Actually going for the Colossus. This is quite greedy here. Yeah, nice splits, nice spread. The Colossus takes a lot of hits, but he will lose everything. Again, a big commitment here from ByuN. At the same time, pushing towards a third. ByuN overextending a little bit. Takes down the pylon. Tanks do siege. That's a lot of Widow Mines. Yeah, Widow Mines, they pop up. Oof. They shut down the Stalkers. Nice focus firing there out of Astrea, and Astrea he holds. Astrea he holds on at the same time, drop back into the natural base at the same time, auto starts into the main. 13 probes going to be going down. Ay, ay, ay. So a bit of a give and take. Astrea, his economy once again is going to be crippled, but ByuN did commit quite hard to killing the Colossus, and it was not worth it. So we do have a back and forth. Behind this, third TC is going to be on the way. Just now starting. Throws down the third. Astrea moves out. And Astrea, he will take his fourth. And again, thankfully, he maintains a Colossus count. That's what's important here. He didn't lose a Colossus. So Astrea, he survives. Whew, okay. Does hold, does survive. Meanwhile, we do see ByuN moving out with his own mine drop. Is pushing towards the natural. At the same time, moving out towards the fourth. Bearing in mind that ByuN still has that army supply lead. Oh no! Late reaction. No reaction. Probes are going down. Massive connections. 5 more probe kills. 2 more mines into the main. And he's pushing in. Yeah, he's moving in. Only 1 Stalker. Colossus finally goes down. One Colossus left. And this Bio army is terrifying. Kites well. Mine shots going off. Zealots they crumble. There are so many Marauders. And he can stim in. Yeah, he can stim, he can dive. He wants it. He wants a Colossus, and he's going to get it as well. Massive pickup, and ByuN, he does it. He breaks Astrea. Mine drop towards the third. GG gets called, and ByuN, he will take a lead in the series. 2-0. GG. GG, well played, ByuN. He will extend his lead here again. Once again, ByuN just popping off early on, pulling Astrea apart, dropping into the main, dropping into the natural. He was able to cripple Astrea early on, was able to get 10 worker kills, so a really, really strong start out of ByuN, and that led him into his move out. I will say that ByuN did overextend, again, trying to dive on the Colossus. It did feel a little bit too cheeky there by ByuN. It wasn't quite worth it. But amidst all the chaos, he killed another 13 workers, once again crippling Astrea. Once again, momentum was still in ByuN's favor. With that, did overwhelm. And that leads us into game number 3. Oh boy. And what concerns me is that was meant to be Astrea's map, is what I will say. Like, Ley Lines, it's one of the larger maps, or at least more standard maps of the map pool. Like, you do have a little bit more breathing room, the bases are a little bit more defendable. Like, this would have been Astrea's map. Without Ley Lines, things are looking a little bit dire as we're loading into Pylon. Pylon is one of the more aggressive maps in the map pool. Short rush distance by ground, doesn't take long at all to get across the map. Oh boy. Here we go. Just catching up. MaxX playing again. MaxX, he got knocked out in the semifinals. He was competing, but Astrea did bring him down in the semis. Likewise, ByuN took down Solar in the semifinals as well. So yes, this is the finals. It is a best of 5, and I'm hoping that we get a little bit more out of this series, but it's been a pretty fast series. We had some fast games, and here we go. We're getting into our next game, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Pylon, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion, leading the series 2-0. It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the American Protoss player. We have the Blue Protoss down in the series, down heavily in the series. And can he bounce back? Can he recover? Can he make a series out of this? It is Astrea. Here we go, as ByuN has been hyper aggressive so far in game 1 and game 2, dealing critical early game damage, dealing critical economic damage in both games, and snowballing into a win from there. Astrea, he needs to tighten up his early game here against ByuN to have a chance here to recover. We gotta tighten up back. Let's go. Double gas once again. Once again, double gas. If you remember, so far we've seen the same build and the same opener 2 games in a row out of ByuN. Each time we've seen double gas into a factory, into early Cyclone, into Reaper Hellion, into Cyclone drop, into Raven, and with that he's been able to harass and just pull Astrea apart. We'll see if that trend continues. Here we go. As Astrea does go for the gate, expand into Cybercore. Economic opener here out of Astrea. There's that factory for ByuN. Let's go. Let us go. Never heard of MaxFax. Looks good though. MaxFax, he's a very solid player. Very solid. There's a chance that you might not have heard him if you only watch offline events, just because MaxFax, he doesn't compete in offline tournaments. But when it comes to the overall player pool, like MaxFax, he is, I'll tell you what, the best Protoss in Europe. Best Protoss in Europe. I think in current era of StarCraft, you can make an argument for certain matchups in regards to Showtime and Clem. But I think overall, like, even though I would say that MaxX has been struggling in certain aspects, like, he's still number 1 in Europe. Still number 1. As we do have Astrea poking in. Does poke in, gets a scout off. Meanwhile, we do have our 1-1-1 setup here from ByuN. And is going for his tech labs. Tech labs are on the way. Is going to be a Twilight Council opener out of Astrea. Does open Twilight Council. Reaper Hellion moves out. Now, last game, if you remember, this did achieve, how much was it? Was it 5 worker kills? It was crazy. It was 5. It was 5 probe kills in game 2. Meanwhile, nice SimCity. Very nice. Ooh, Force Field does pop up. Boys are being pulled, does shut down one of the Reapers. Yeah, better defense here, much better out of Astrea, takes on 2 Reapers in the main. At the same time, shield by everything natural, make sure that no probes go down to the Hellion. So much cleaner defense here from Astrea. And with that, he will get into the other game in a much better position. As ByuN, he will get a 2nd probe kill, and he shouldn't get a 3rd. Yeah, it doesn't get a 3rd. So again, a cleaner early game out of Astrea. Meanwhile, we do go for the Cyclone, into add-on swap, into Raven again. So yeah, same build. Same build, 3 games in a row out of ByuN. Does move out. Again, this time Astrea's been adapting. He does spot the move out. Nice scout here from Astrea. He is aware of what's going on. He will even chase the medevac. Oh, almost does intercept. Very close. Very close. Astrea, he does fan out. Does fan out looking for ByuN. He does miss the drop. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, ByuN dropping into the natural. Going for the mineral line. Gets a couple of workers. Meanwhile, we do see Astrea moving in. Cleans up the Marines, and at least thankfully does keep his mineral line alive. Yeah, only 2 probe kills. Again, a much cleaner defense here by Astrea. This time he was able to be in position, in time. And this is what we've been missing. Let's go. Astrea. Is what we've been missing. Oh, I say that. We actually did go into Cloak Banshee. My mistake. My apologies. I did assume it was just going to be Raven. Banshee's moving in. And do we have any detection? No Observer. Wow, no Observer here. The one Banshee popping off. Probes are going down. Observer still on the way. 4 probe kills. Earlier, we did see the Raven, but looks like we had to cancel. ByuN canceled the Raven, went Banshee instead. 4 probe kills. And the Banshee gets away. At the same time, drop here into the 3rd. This isn't critical damage yet, but it's getting there. 6, soon to be 7 probes. Slide going back in. There we go. 7 probes go down. Banshee hits a natural. Thankfully, there's a shield battery. That's still going to be 8 worker kills. That's going to be 15 in total, baby. Ay. That's a full mineral line. Full mineral line does go down. In general, we had a cleaner defense out of Astrea with the Banshees. They did make up for that, and we'll see if Astrea can stabilize from here. So he doesn't quite get a lot done across the map. 3rd TC is on the way here for ByuN. Getting his 3rd TC. Stim is almost done. +1. Combat shields. ByuN is macroing out of this. And ByuN is in a better economic game state. From here, he can break out, he can expand. Astrea, once again, is going for Colossus, not going for Storm first. Colossus are slowly amassing. As ByuN does move out with his drop. Does move out. The Observer did spot the medevacs. Or at least did spot the army peel off. Drop into the main, going for +1. +1 is going to be denied. Yeah, takes down +1, takes down the pylon. Likewise, Maynard pushing right through the center. And ByuN does get away. He does get away in time. Astrea, he's barely keeping up though. He does rotate in time. And he's keeping up with the ByuN. The Colossus so exposed. Oh, there's no support. No, there's no support. The Colossus does go down. Massive pickup. Takes down the Colossi. At the same time, drop back into the main base, and Astrea is being torn apart here. Probes are going down. And again, before Astrea can stabilize on 3 bases, he's not going to get there. It's not going to happen. Not in this series. Not in this best of 5. As ByuN has been hyper aggressive. He experienced Astrea's late game one too many times. He's like, never again. Never again, papi. Ay. And Astrea's been crippled. At this point, he has been crippled. It's going to be a really rough road to recover here. At this point, he's hoping that ByuN makes mistakes. He's hoping to catch out some full medevacs. He's hoping that ByuN overextends at some point. But for the most part, ByuN, he's in the driver's seat. He has a massive advantage, a massive lead. He's now pushing in. Widowmines are setting up. And nice splits here with the Zealots. Nice splits. Colossus has to be so careful. As that Colossus is so vulnerable. And ByuN, he stims in. He stims in, he goes to the dive. He wants a Colossus, and he's going to get it as well. Massive pickoff, takes down the final Colossus. Likewise, dropping back into the main. Astrea, he moves out of position. Drop does come back in. Once again, 6 probe kills. Yeah, 6 workers, does stand in fights. ByuN still rallying. GG gets called as he has torn Astrea apart. And ByuN, he will take the series 3-0, becoming this week's PiGosaur Cup champion. GG. Whew. GG, well played. A very impressive performance here out of ByuN. Really fast games, really fast matches here. Hyper aggression out of ByuN with the early game Reaper Hellion, with the Raven Harass, with the drop play, of course, as well. again, just pulling Astrea apart in every single game. Game 1, Game 2, Game 3. I was talking up Astrea's mid game, his mid to late game, especially his 3 and 4 base setup. If he can get into a robust army, he can take it and even would be favored against ByuN. Again, we cast Astrea defeat ByuN, what, 1-2 weeks ago at the EWC qualifiers in those main events. Like Astrea, he was popping off against ByuN, against Gumiho, against Ryung, against Clem. And since then, ByuN has learned. He's like, you know what? I'm just not going to let you get there. I'm just going to kill you early on instead. We're going to pull you apart. GG, well played. Aggressive play there, very impressive play by ByuN. Does take the series, and a shout out to Astrea, because on the one hand, he does go down to ByuN here, but hey, he fought hard to get here. Who did Astrea take down to make it this far in the tournament? He took down MaxPax and Gumiho. Again, Gumiho, also one of the top Terran players out there, did go down to Astrea. I will say, though, that Gumiho did have a different approach to ByuN. Did have a different approach, and Astrea was a lot more comfortable against Gumiho, at least a little bit more compared to ByuN, of course. Likewise, we have that back and forth between MaxPax. Also, shout out to ByuN as he takes down Astrea, takes down Solar, and takes down SOS as well. ByuN has been on that grind. He's been playing in everything. You can see like a bit of a disparity between players and how they approach EWC. There are some players like Hero, for example. If you've been noticing, Hero, he's been playing in less tournaments. Hero, over the past like 3 weeks, he's been playing in less tournaments. Likewise, Clem also playing in less tournaments as well. And why? Esports World Cup is right around the corner. A lot of these players, they're deciding to hide some of their play, to hide their builds, and to be less active at online tournaments in preparation for EWC. But then you have other players like ByuN, for example, who just plays in everything. he's just on that grind, playing in as much as he can. A bit of a different kind of mindset. Partly you could argue that maybe because ByuN is more mechanic based, so he has less builds to hide, because it's more about the execution, right? It's more about the execution, the micro, the control, less so about like cheeky builds and cheeky styles. So you could argue that maybe that's part of it as well. But yeah, ByuN, he's just been playing in almost everything, and yeah, with that, GG, well played. Really well done here by ByuN. Congratulations. And of course, best of luck moving forward into EWC for all these top players, for ByuN, for Astrea, for Solar as well. These are players that will be competing in the Esports World Cup. Will be competing. Let's catch you up. Your Masters, lights. Yes. And Masters. I don't really play too often, unfortunately. I try to play whenever I can, but because we're casting so much, and there have been other things that have been taking up my time as of late, I haven't had the luxury of laddering. Let's have a look here. So last time I laddered was 14 days ago. So it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks since we laddered. So yeah, I don't get a lot of time to really play or practice as much as I would like. Like, I do enjoy laddering, I do enjoy streaming, but don't have much time. Don't have much time nowadays. All the casting, Bobby, all the casting. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Otherwise, we're going to be wrapping up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, before I forget, we can check out our weekly schedule. Bam. There we go. So we just wrapped up with our early Wednesday broadcast here in the morning at 9 AM KST. We have our next broadcast later on tonight, the Pondcast. The Pondcast is going to be at 7 PM KST. That's going to be 8 PM AEST. That is going to be in 6.5 hours. In 6 hours and 30 minutes, we're going to be live with the Pondcast. That is our weekly talk show. Weekly talk show where we go over all things StarCraft. This week, let's have a look. Hold on. What are we talking about? I feel like there've been a lot of announcements this week, right? Let's see. True, we have the disciplinary action from EWC, from the ESIC, regarding Firefly. True, that was announced, I want to say yesterday. We have an interview with Shopify for ByuN. So ByuN had an interview recently. It looks like we had a French interview with Clem. We have some Basilisk Road to EWC interviews. We have Streamer Zone. True, Streamer Zone, they announced their Pro Series, an announcement of an announcement. Still not a lot of details, but that was announced this week. And we have Ladder Legends as well. So we have a lot to discuss, a lot to go over. Speaking of not having a lot of time, I do have to go over a lot of these interviews so I can actually talk about them. So yeah, there was a lot of content, a lot of interviews were made regarding Clem, regarding ByuN, regarding Cyril, Trigger, and Rainer as well. So we're going to be going over that. We're going to be discussing all of that later on tonight, alongside all of the tournaments that occurred as well. I'm going to be discussing KSL, PiGosaur Cup, Tuna Cup, RSL, the Revival StarCraft League, Wardy TV European League, Fusion Esports League as well. All things StarCraft. As always here, we'll be discussing that during our podcast. So that's going to be later on tonight. Otherwise, tomorrow is going to be the StarCraft Evolution League. That's going to be tomorrow and on Friday as well. And we have Fusion Esports League qualifiers and the Polish Championship over the weekend. That's a lot of FEL. That's a lot of Fusion Esports League. For those that are maybe unaware or unfamiliar, a big offline event was announced in Poland, and that's going to be after the Esports World Cup. It's going to be a big offline event happening in Krakow. Gerald did organize it. We actually covered the qualifiers last weekend, and this weekend we have the Polish Championship, and which is going to pit the best players in Poland against each other. The best player, the champion of that event, will be invited to FEL. They'll be earning a seed, and we also have one final global qualifier for FEL as well on Sunday. So plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft over the course of the week, as always, Pappy, as always. Here we go. Still don't understand why Protoss players don't invest in anti-drop cannons against ByuN. I would say that because technically these players, they can defend against it. Astrea, he was keeping up with ByuN for the most part until like halfway through, and technically it's more efficient to be able to do so without cannons, right? Like sure, you can, I guess, try to invest into static defense. That's a way you can approach it, but ideally you can do it without it, right? Ideally, like, you have the capacity to do so, and these players can, if they're locked in, you know, if they're locked in, they can keep up with ByuN. I guess it's one of those things where you don't want to rely on a crutch if you don't have to, right? You want to be able to, like, build up your speed, build up your reaction time, build up your skill to do so. What's catching up? I heard light-out laddering 24 hours. Oh, you're an animal, 007. You're an animal. Also, a big shout out to Selexica. There we go. Selexica in the chat. God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. Hope you enjoy the content. Hope you enjoy the StarCraft. Thank you so much for the support. Sometimes theory doesn't always pan out. For sure. Right as well. Like, cannons are also quite limited in the kind of defense that they provide. They can be a bit of a deterrent or maybe buy some time, but they're also stationary as well. Like, there's a lot that gets into it, for sure. Most people's cases, it's better to be honest about their abilities. I mean, kind of. Like, it also sets him behind in other aspects. Like, I would say from Astrea, like, he totally has the ability to keep up with ByuN, for sure. Here, ByuN did tear him apart, but, you know, next time, Pappy, next time. Let's go. Otherwise, we're wrapping up. Otherwise, we are going to be wrapping up here. And again, we're going to be back in 6.5 hours time. And, yeah, we'll have some more StarCraft. Otherwise, hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you have a great rest of your week as well. Hope you have a great time. And we'll be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. Who is live at the moment? Who is live? Who can we raid? Who can we send everyone over to? Let's go. Have a good rest day. Thank you. I'll be watching all the interviews and getting some sleep before the podcast. Yo, I see Gnocchi is live. Let's go. Bully is streaming as well. I haven't rated Bully in a long time, so I feel like it's been a while. We can give him some love. He was casting, actually. He was casting today. We'll give it to ByuN. Okay. But yes, otherwise, thanks for watching, thanks for support, and we'll see you guys next time. Papi. Until then, ciao, bye, ciao. See you next time.